From the High Definition Production Center of Troy University's Broadcast and Digital Network at Troy, Alabama's International University, this is Troy TrojanVision News.
Hello and welcome to Troy TrojanVision News for October 5th, 2016. I'm Nathaniel Rodriguez.
And I'm Samantha Charles. Thank you for joining us this evening. Troy University's Rosa Parks Museum kicked off their three-part series of community forums called Real Talk. Last night, the forum discussed police and our community. On Tuesday night at the Rosa Parks Library and Museum on Troy University's Montgomery campus, the first of a three-part series called Real Talk, a community forum, was held to discuss the topic of police in our community.
Police have a responsibility to protect and serve. But there are certain dynamics that make that challenging on both ends, and the lack of communication and lack of understanding about what motivates people to do certain things in our community on both sides tends to create some issues, and we need things like this to be able to help clarify those things.
The panel comes amid recent police brutality cases across the United States in order to educate the public and prevent violent outbreaks from happening in the state of Alabama.
Education's key, and we don't want anything to happen in the South. It's what's going on in the rest of the nation, especially, and we don't want any riots that are happening in the rest of the country to happen here either.
But then the tables were turned, and some audience members got the chance to ask the tough questions.
The public to come and for their voices to be heard, because Rosa Parks was just an everyday woman who who sat down. She didn't stand up. She kept her seat and said no, that she would not move, and that could be anybody on any given day, and we want the public to know that anyone can make a difference.
The next panel will discuss juvenile sentencing on October 11th. It is free and open to the public.
Starting tomorrow at 7 a.m., a Troy University fraternity is going to spend 24 hours trying to help a Troy professor regain his sight. Justin Walker explains.
This is Troy University professor Joe Arnold. The device he is wearing is called eSight. It allows Arnold, who has a visual impairment, to be able to see his surroundings. However, due to a recent house fire, the device was destroyed and insurance won't cover the cost of replacement. That's where Troy University fraternity is stepping in.
So we're doing a fundraiser for Mr. Joseph Arnold, one of my personal professors here on campus. This is his first year on campus, and so 3 weeks ago he gets a phone call, hey, your house just burnt to the ground, you lost everything. And so the insurance is covering a lot of things, but they're not covering one device in particular called eSight. eSight is a goggle that you can wear on your head, similar to a virtual reality goggle, that allows him to see his family, allow him to prepare lessons more easily and grade his own work, which is, I think, an overall improvement of the quality of his life.
And Barnett is taking on a grueling personal task in the fundraising effort, riding a stationary bike for 24 hours, one of the many activities designed to inspire people to help out with their cause.
And we're going to be doing a bike-a-thon for 24 hours straight, where I'm going to attempt to ride the 24 hours straight by myself. And then we're going to have a bake sale and grilled foods around noon. The bake sale is going to be between 10 and 5 p.m. And then we're going to do empathy cornhole, which this summer when I did Journey of Hope, I got to teach a blind man for the first time how to play cornhole using sound. So I'm going to let students take that kind of adventure, walking in the darkness, where they can get to play cornhole using sounds but being blindfolded.
Barnett hopes he can get the entire Trojan family to come together and help out a Trojan in need.
As soon as I seen a need in this man's life, he makes an impact in every person that he comes in contact with every single day, whether it's in the classroom, a random stranger, whoever it is. He always has just like this bright atmosphere around him, and just as soon as I heard about it, I just wanted to do something, anything I could do. And so I heard about this need he had in his life, and I think as the Troy nation, I think we can come together and we can meet this need in his life for him, his family, and for his friends.
Justin Walker, Troy TrojanVision News.
The bike ride will start at 7 a.m. Activities will kick off at 10 a.m. on the Social Quad. Pi Kappa Phi's goal is $15,000. They will be accepting donations at the event.
With homecoming week just around the corner, the Student Government Association is making some last-minute improvements to make the week more exciting. William McCarthy has the story.
And they do. The Constitution passes.
On Tuesday night, the Student Government Association held its weekly meeting inside Hawkins Hall. On the agenda was homecoming week and all the activities the SGA will be a part of.
So this meeting we had a lot going on. A lot of it was talking about our events for homecoming, getting our ducks in a row as far as who's going to be working what events and the logistics behind that. Also, we talked a lot about Rivalry Week, something that we're really excited about. This is our second year doing that, so we talked a lot about the details going into those sort of events for that week. And then we also talked about updates from the election. We had almost double the amount of people vote in this election, so we're really proud about that.
For Homecoming Week, many events are planned that will make the week exciting for everyone, and maybe a couple of new changes to the scenery around campus.
I think it's going to be great this year. Sam Moody, our VPCA, has a lot going on to make it a very physical change on the campus. We're planning on hanging all 20-plus banners on around campus on the quad with balloons, very decorative and festive. We've got obviously our skit and homecoming dance, which are two of our events. We also are continuing the street painting that's going on this year.
Also on discussion was the talk of Rivalry Week and all the events going on then, as well as the progress of students buying tickets through SGA who are all going to the Troy vs. South Alabama football game.
So there's two different types of tickets that students can get. There is a $10 ticket where it's just the ticket to get into the game that they can buy through our office. It'll be cheaper there than getting them at the game, at the South game. Or they can buy the $20 ticket, which is a ticket to the game and a bus ride down and back. And so we're very excited to offer that. We have had so many students already sign up for it, and it's just the first day. So we're excited to get a good crowd going down there.
William McCarthy, Troy, TrojanVision News.
The SGA will not meet for the next 2 weeks, and weekly meetings will resume on Tuesday, October 25th. It's Domestic Violence Awareness Week, and Trojan Outreach is doing their part to spread the word,
as well as promote an event to help fight suicide. Sarah Singletary tells us how.
Domestic violence awareness was the topic of discussion Wednesday afternoon as members of Trojan Outreach reached out to students with information and even a little test about healthy versus unhealthy relationships.
We're showing what is healthy, what's unhealthy, and what's abusive. It's a little game where you can stick what you might think is healthy or unhealthy in a slot, and we can tell you whether or not that's right or not. It's been really interesting to see everyone's different responses because a lot of people, for example, think that it's okay to have your partner's social media passwords and things like that, when that's actually an unhealthy way to have a relationship.
And to bring Domestic Violence Awareness Week to a close, Trojan Outreach is helping organize the Out of the Darkness Walk, an event to help raise awareness for suicide prevention.
We're going to have a sheet with all the stars hanging down that has encouragements, whether that be keep your head up, keep going strong, or maybe in memory of someone that might have been a victim to suicide.
Jack says that raising awareness for domestic violence and suicide prevention go hand in hand.
Domestic violence is a big cause to suicide because people can feel trapped in relationships and not be able to feel, they might feel like they can't get out of the relationship and they can't escape, so therefore they feel like the only thing they could do is to commit suicide.
The Out of the Darkness Walk will be held on Sunday at 2 p.m. at the Troy University track. Sarah Singletary, Troy, TrojanVision News.
Next month, Trojan Outreach has plans to host a fall festival.
Now, the latest in Trojan Sports on Troy TrojanVision News.
Good evening, Trojans. We are back with more Trojan Sports, and we have a big game tonight over in Trojan Arena. At 6 p.m., the Trojan volleyball team will take the court against the Tennessee Volunteers. Head coach Sonny Kirkpatrick and his Trojans are 6-13 on the season and are looking to snap out of a 9-game losing streak. But now, after 2 losses on the road against Georgia State and Georgia Southern, the Trojans return home.
Well, anytime you can play at home, it's a great thing, and to have a team with the stature of Tennessee coming in is a great benefit for us. And we can't wait to compete. That's what we're here for. We're here to try to get better every time we step on the floor. With it being an out-of-conference match, it gives us a chance to work on some other things that we've been working on the last couple weeks and try to make sure that we have everything set going into South Alabama on Saturday.
Once again, tonight's game against the Volunteers will begin at 6 p.m. And if you can't make it out to Trojan Arena, you can tune in to the game on ESPN3. And the volleyball team wasn't the only team in action over in Georgia. The women's tennis team took the court over the weekend at the Georgia Southern Invitational on Sunday in its first fall meet of the season. And if you didn't hear us mention it last night, Troy sophomore Hannah Caesar led the way for the Trojans with her 3rd place finish in singles play. But even with the 3rd place finish, head coach Rawia LCC says she wants more out of her players.
That's expected from Hannah She plays on the top of the lineup, and the only way to push the players to have high expectations and always push them to improve, not just match by match, but also day by day. So if you want to reach to the finals or we want to win a championship, you always have to look for the best.
The Trojans will look to meet those expectations once again when they take court in Waco, Texas on October 7th to compete in the Baylor Under Armour Invitational. And along with the women, the men's tennis team was in action over the weekend at the Rice Collegiate Invitational. Now for the women, we singled out a third-place finish from Hannah Caesar. Now taking a look at this men's team, senior Andre Baldo finished the weekend undefeated and with a draw in singles play. And head coach Scott Kidd says Baldo's performance will set the tone for the rest of the season.
To see a kid like that, his senior year, come out and finally produce and win, it says a lot. I think that he kind of set the momentum for the year, and being a senior, also being a captain, it shows great leadership and heart in what Andre did. I think he surprised himself. I've always knew he had the potential to do it. It's just he had to trust his own self.
The Trojans will be back in action this weekend at the Mercer Gridiron Classic in Macon, Georgia. And speaking of the gridiron, the Trojan football team is now 4-1 on the season and 2-0 in conference play after defeating Idaho over the weekend. And now the Trojans are halfway through their first bye week of the season as they continue preparations for Georgia State.
Basically, I know we're going to have overtime, but with the overtime, we got to get our bodies back right and get our schoolwork, catch up on our schoolwork, and basically get back in that playbook and get prepared for Georgia State. So they give us extra week to prepare for them.
Trojans are 4-1 on the season and have won 3 games straight against Southern Mississippi, New Mexico State, and Idaho. Troy will return to action at home on October 15th against Georgia State.